Hello, Saskia, devotional goddess here. I have started a series where I'm sharing what I do when I cook, because cooking is part of me, it's part of what I do. I'm a private chef as well, and I'm also a healer. So all of these merge in. So what's beginning to come and unfold is that while I'm preparing food, I share some of what I do and how I support people. So what I have here is, it's called pumpkin chai. Look at this deliciousness. I made it last night. I'll put the recipe below. It's from John Immel, who's an amazing Ayurvedic practitioner. He added this and gave the recipe to I forget her name now, but it was a postpartum book for postpartum healing, a recipe book, and she's crossed over now, but there's another amazing group of women who keep her legacy alive. So I'll put all that information below if you're postpartum or you really want this information pre-labor and delivery, so that you can be armed with this information for your postpartum care. But this is one of those recipes that stayed with me because it's so delicious in the fall. And it's a whole bunch of delicious spices with a fresh sugar pumpkin that I roasted in the oven, and then almond milk and some sugar and lots of ghee, which is just so delicious. So me and my youngest love it in the fall, and it's our sort of tradition to make a batch, and this is my second batch because the first went down so smoothly. So that's my pumpkin chai. Oops, I was a little too full. All right, so what I wanted to talk about today was more about my private clients and how I work with them. So often as women, we're not necessarily taught to set boundaries and what that looks like. So often when I work with my private clients, we begin to look at the landscape of their lives and how they want to transform, how they want to enrich their lives to be more aligned with their own soul purpose and their blueprint that is filled with more peace, more joy, more contentment. Because often as women, we're juggling so much that we're just sustaining the juggle, and it's like, where is the pleasure? Where is the joy? I'm just managing everything, right? Things have gone out of balance, out of proportion. And as me, some of you might be single mothers. How do you keep that balance in being the mother, the father, the caregiver, wearing all the hats? So setting our boundaries with family members, with ourselves, is so key to our enrichment and our growth. So as we continue to unfold on our path, just putting some more in a mason jar, I guide my students through yogic practices, one, to create more internal grit, so we become more resilient, we become stronger, and we're able to sustain our power, sustain our energy. And that's so key with our boundary setting in order to have the balance to do what we need to do as women and as humans in creating a life that is sustainable and joyful. I also teach my private clients how to heal themselves, as I'm also doing healing work on them throughout the session, and often at the end of the session we're closing out with an aligning of the energy within in order to support my clients moving forwards. Now, the follow-through that my clients have impacts their results, of course, because we all have free will. And yes, I am here to support and guide my clients, but ultimately it's their consciousness and their change and their attitudes and their behaviors that ultimately creates that transformation in their lives. And this is such an important aspect. I'm here to support. I'm here to help with that realignment of the energy. And then it's the actions. And honestly, often it just, even the smallest actions, right? Think of that pebble in the pond, where that small pebble lets that small drops into the water and that ripple goes out. But you see how vast that ripple can expand out to. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed of like, oh my God, my life is going to be turned upside down and it's going to be chaos. I can't take any more chaos. Change, when done consciously, only needs to be small, because it will have its powerful ripple effects. And we want change to happen with grace and ease, not that it causes a cataclysm and everything dissolves. You know, sometimes that does need to happen, but to whatever degree, and often by the time my students come to me, that has happened, right? Those large events have happened, and they're like, I need support in how to sustain myself moving forwards, because I'm frayed. My bandwidth is stretched. I don't have the bandwidth with which to feel empowered moving forwards. And then in working with me with the yogic tools and the breath work and just the healing practices, I guide my students into how to have, holding my spatula, in how to have that longevity in sustaining the change and maintaining it. So this is really what is so needed at this time, because we are being challenged in so many ways, because this is a time of great change. And in that change, we become more empowered, more able to see our inner resilience, our inner strength, and that in turn builds and builds and builds upon itself. So we come to see, oh my gosh, I held myself here. I didn't fall apart. I was able to sustain my own energy, and I was able to set boundaries and do it healthily. Because sometimes people set boundaries and it causes more karmic reaction, right? It causes fallout because it is done unskillfully, or it's done out of a knee-jerk response. And often that causes a cause and effect. And then the other person is wounded. They're holding resentment and anger and frustration because it wasn't skillfully done, because you, I, whomever has snapped under pressure. And we want to be able to cultivate a greater stillness within, so that we can hold all which we do from a greater place of grounding and containment, so that when we set our boundaries, we can do it from a place of steadiness, from a place of love. Maybe just for ourselves, but it's not coming from a place of, you do this to me, I've had enough. It's not from a volatile place. It's from a steady place, which is calm and present. And even though you may be not feeling calm and present internally, from the cultivation of the work that you've done, it will come out with enough grace that it will be received in the ways that it needs to be received. This is my sharing for today. I hope this was helpful. All my information is below. I'll add the recipe for John Immel. Look at this delicious, oh, yummy. I'm gonna have some for breakfast. I have some here ready to reheat in a bit, and look, I added a little bit of leftover coconut milk that I had, which is going to make it a little richer. So, for fall goodness, pumpkin chai can be a dessert. You can water it down more so it is more chai-like, or you can have it thicker as a pudding for dessert, or, you know, as a filling for a pie. It's so versatile, and it's grounding, right? It's a gourd, so it's got that grounding element to it that we need entering into the fall. The foods that are coming to harvest now have that grounding element so that it helps to nourish us and sustain us for the winter to come. And don't forget to eat those apples. This is apple season, and the apples help to take the heat out from the summer so that the body doesn't have excess heat, which is going to cause disruption within the body, within the internal systems. So eat your apples. Have your pomegranates, which are full of vitamin C, which is going to boost us for this season where we can get colds or viruses. And take your butternut squashes and your pumpkins and, you know, cook with that delicious harvest so that you are nourished from inside and your body can sustain all that goodness. All right. Much love. All my information is below. If you feel called, it would be my absolute pleasure to work with you privately and support you through your power journey of enlightenment and discovering your goddess within. Much love. Bye for now.